Hello and welcome to India Business Hour. I'm Parikshit Luthra. Here are the headlines we are tracking this evening. Israel-Iran conflict enters the seventh day. Iranian missiles hit a hospital in southern Israel's Beersheba. Iran state media reports that a heavy water nuclear reactor southwest of Tehran was struck by Israel. Stock markets under pressure across the world due to Middle East tensions. US Fed signals it is in no hurry to cut rates. Crude oil prices continue to climb, with Brent hovering around $77 a barrel. Sensex and Nifty end flat with marginal cuts, but midcaps and small caps see a sell-off. All sectoral indices end in the red, barring automobiles. Rupee weakens sharply against the dollar. 1 week since the Air India plane crash, authorities have identified 214 dead bodies. Air India CEO claims the crash killed 34 people on the ground, along with 241 on board. Air India also announces a 15% reduction in overseas flights on wide-body aircraft for about a month. Aviation Ministry says the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau will decide where the black box data will be analysed, urges all stakeholders to refrain from speculation. Reserve Bank's new project finance rules will take effect from the 1st of October this year. Lenders are required to maintain a provision of 1% to 1.25% during the construction phase. The 12,500 crore IPO of HDB Financial will open on the 25th of June. The listing of the HDFC Bank subsidiary is a regulatory requirement as it falls under the category of an upper layer NBFC, according to the RBI. Israeli forces killed 72 Palestinians in Gaza in the last 24 hours. This includes 29 people who were waiting for food assistance. Reports suggest more than 300 people have died at food aid centers run by Israel and US in the last 3 weeks. A majority stake in legendary basketball franchise Los Angeles Lakers is being sold in a historic deal. The transaction could be worth an estimated $10 billion, making it the most expensive sale in sports history. Elon Musk's SpaceX Starship explodes into a massive fireball while preparing for a test flight. The company says no injuries were caused and there are no hazards to communities in the surrounding areas. And we take you inside the headquarters of venture capital firm Lightspeed at Silicon Valley to explore their AI bet. We also speak with the co-founder of $20 billion cloud software provider Nutanix. The top story we're tracking this evening: the Israeli-Iran conflict has entered the seventh day, with both sides continuing to exchange fire and United States troops remaining on standby. Human rights activists, a Washington-based group, has reported over 600 deaths in Iran. Close to half of them are civilians. 24 deaths have been reported in Israel. Iranian missiles caused serious damage at 4 sites in central and southern Israel. Tel Aviv confirmed that a ballistic missile hit a hospital in southern Israel's Beersheba. A spokesperson said that people were injured in the strike. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visited the damaged site and has vowed to make Iran pay for their actions. Israeli forces retaliated by attacking Iran's Arak heavy water nuclear reactor. Iranian state media said that no radiation has been reported. Israel's military had warned people to evacuate the area around the region just a couple of hours before the attack. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump has said that he is still weighing his options on United States military intervention in the escalating hostilities. His comments came hours after Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, warned that any strikes by the United States on its territory would have serious and irreparable consequences. Iran's foreign minister has said that he will travel to Geneva for meetings with his European counterparts on Friday. Israeli President Isaac Herzog has said that they were not pushing for a regime change in Iran and are only tackling Tehran's nuclear capabilities. Speaking to CNBC, Israel's president accused Iran of cheating and rushing to build a nuclear bomb.
We all understand that nuclear weapons are the most dangerous weapons for humanity. For 80 years, the world has known it. And for decades, the world has decided that Iran must not have nuclear weapons. And we discovered that they're cheating, that they're rushing to the bomb. And over the weekend, there was a clear decision of the International Atomic Energy Agency in Vienna, which has reaffirmed it following a report of its Secretary General. So, one has to be tough sometimes in order to remove imminent threats. That's exactly what we're doing.
And the possibility of an Iran deal, is the destruction or the dismantling of the Fordow nuclear enrichment center, is that a prerequisite for a deal? Is that a red line for you?
No, it's just something that people talk about having. We're the only ones that have the capability to do it, but that doesn't mean I'm going to do it at all. Yeah, we have the best military equipment in the world. You see that with this fight, where, certain countries take advantage of that. Israel has incredible weaponry. So we'll see what happens. I've been asked about it by everybody, but I haven't made a decision.
The Indian government has facilitated the return of 110 students from Iran amid the attacks. The students who were evacuated from Iran to Armenia landed in Delhi today. Remember, there were approximately 10,000 Indians in Iran when the attacks began, of which 4,000 were students. The government has also decided to evacuate Indian nationals in Israel who wish to leave. Israel's attacks on Iran are also likely to impact the export of Indian products to the country. Air freight rates for exports to Iran have already risen by 10 to 15%. Sources tell CNBC-TV18 that exporters expect these rates to rise along with shipping rates. Companies also expect a war surcharge and higher insurance costs. And staying with tensions in West Asia, Israeli airstrikes have killed nearly 140 people in Gaza in the last 24 hours. As per local health officials, majority of the killings happened near food distribution centers or on routes along which trucks were expected to travel. Medics also said that Israeli forces conducted airstrikes over a neighborhood in Gaza, killing at least 21 people. On to the day's market action. Sensex and Nifty ended the day with marginal cuts. Broader markets witnessed a large drop, with midcap index ending 2% in the red. Nearly 90% of 100 midcap stocks closed with cuts, except auto. All major indices also ended in the red. The US Federal Reserve has kept its interest rate steady in the range of 4.25% and 4.5% once again. However, it has maintained its forecast of 2 cuts for the rest of 2025. Fed Chair Jerome Powell warned that inflation could rise over the next few months due to tariffs. The central bank also cut its projections for US economic growth to 1.4% from 1.7% earlier. Powell acknowledged that growth will slow eventually, sparking concerns over a possible stagflation in the US economy.
Since March, this is since March, right? You see a little slower growth, just a tiny tick up, a 1/10 tick up in unemployment, and you see inflation moving up 0.3. And by the way, it was a similar move from the December SEP to the March. So that's what you see. You see the effects of tariffs. I think we learned in April, after the March meeting, that substantially higher tariffs were likely. And then since then, the estimates of where the tariffs will be have actually moved back down, although still at an elevated level. So we're adapting in real time. And what you see is an accumulation of individual assessments. Uncertainty about the economic outlook has diminished but remains elevated. Many, many surveys say that. They do. So, and that's actually a line from the Teal book, which you can see in 5 years.
On to the United Kingdom, where the Bank of England has also kept its key interest rate unchanged at 4.25%. 6 out of 9 members of the bank's Monetary Policy Committee opted to hold rates, while 3 opted for a 25 basis points cut. The central bank's governor hinted at further interest rate cuts, but warned that this is subject to geopolitical uncertainty. On to global markets now. Asian indices were in the red, tracking US futures. This as investors weighed concerns about inflation in the US and potential escalation in tensions in the Middle East. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index led the fall, clocking losses of 2%, while Japan's Nikkei and China's Shanghai Composite Index fell 1%. Crude oil prices remain steady after President Donald Trump said that Iran wants to negotiate over its nuclear program. However, prices remain near a 5-month high, with Brent at the $77 mark. The potential of higher demand after the US Federal Reserve's signal of 2 more cuts by year-end also supported prices. US President Donald Trump's administration has resumed student visa appointments, but with stricter social media vetting. A State Department cable has directed US consular officers to thoroughly screen applicants for any hostile views against American values. This will include a review of the students' online presence. The cable sent by Secretary of State Marco Rubio also allows officers to demand public access to social media accounts. Those found supporting violence on groups like Hamas may be denied visas. Fewer visa slots may now be available due to heavy vetting workload. US President Donald Trump hosted Pakistan's Field Marshal Asim Munir at the White House. Trump said he wanted to thank him for not going into a war with India and ending it. Speaking at the White House earlier, President Trump claimed yet again that he stopped a war between two nuclear nations. His comments came less than 24 hours after Prime Minister Modi, during a phone call, clarified that no discussions were held with the US on mediation or a trade deal during Operation Sindoor. In a statement, the Indian Foreign Ministry said that Prime Minister Modi firmly stated that India has never accepted, does not accept, and will never accept any form of mediation. The statement further highlighted that Prime Minister Modi stated that India now views terrorism not as a proxy war, but as an act of war, and that Operation Sindoor is still ongoing.
Well, I stopped a war between Pakistan. I love Pakistan. I think Modi is a fantastic man. I spoke to him last night. We're going to make a trade deal with Modi of India. But I stopped the war between Pakistan and India. This man was extremely influential in stopping it from the Pakistan side, Modi from the India side, and others. And they were going at it, and they're both nuclear countries. I got it stopped. I don't think I had one story. Did I have one story written about it? I stopped a war between two major nations, major nuclear nations.
India's textile sector is pushing for urgent attention in the ongoing India-US trade negotiations and warned that failure to act quickly would not only result in economic growth slowdown, but also hurt the very survival of the textile export sector. Shivani Bazar's reports on the key hopes that the sector has from the FTA.
India's textile industry is making a loud and clear pitch. Give us 0 for 0 tariffs, meaning both countries, US and India, eliminate duties on textile trade altogether. Failure to do so, it warns, could put the sector's global edge at risk. With new US import duties set to jump to 26% in July, exporters say they can't survive unless policymakers secure preferential terms, and soon. This is no longer just a trade ask, it's an economic imperative for an industry that generates 45 million jobs. In FY24, India's textile exports touched $34.4 billion, making up 8.2% of total exports. On this, $8.9 billion worth went to the United States, making US India's largest export destination for textiles with a 27% share. Though India stands at an advantage with the tariffs at current levels, India's competitors are already moving fast and negotiating hard.
Bangladesh is offering all it can to US to basically have a good deal for them. And when overnight, I think US can bring down the Chinese tariff by 115%. You never know, it could extend concession to Vietnam also. There is no room for despondency and pessimism as of now. But yes, the fact is that because of the critical over-dependence on a market like US, I mean, we have, our own set of vulnerabilities and exporters are exposed to kind of potential risk. And any kind of bad deal for us could impact the entire sector.
The Commerce Ministry has created a textile-specific task force to identify pain points and prepare recommendations. The textile industry has submitted a list of strategic textile products to the government, each with rising US demand and strong Indian manufacturing strength.
I would say more than the margin, it's going to affect the overall textile trade because the buying power of the customer is going to come down. They are going to be forced to increase their pricing because none of the exporters have that kind of a margin to... Most exporters from India work on a low single-digit margin. You would see that in most of the listed companies which are there also. So if there is that increase of 26%, it's going to have to affect the product pricing. And that is going to cause a decrease in demand.
Exporters argue that India has minimal textile imports from the US, so a 0 for 0 deal would tilt the benefit firmly in India's favor. With high input costs and already slim export margins, any increase in duties will either squeeze profitability or worse, price India out of the US market. For India's textile sector, the next few weeks could shape the next few years. A zero-for-zero deal won't just reduce cost, it could help secure market share, jobs and long-term growth. This is Shivani Bazaz for CNBC-TV18.
Let's move on. Reserve Bank of India's new project finance rules will take effect from the 1st of October this year. Lenders will be required to maintain a provision of 1% to 1.25% during the construction phase. This is sharply lower than the earlier proposal of a 5% provision. Banks had objected to higher provisioning. Shares of Siemens Energy listed on the bourses today after demerging from its parent Siemens. The company stock listed above the demerger price of 2,350 rupees per share. The stock hit 5% upper circuit soon after listing. HDFC Bank's subsidiary HDB Financial Services will launch its initial public offering on the 25th of June. The IPO's price band will be revealed tomorrow. The 12,500 crore rupee offer will comprise of a fresh issue and an offer for sale. HDFC Bank will sell shares worth 10,000 crore rupees in the IPO. Gas continues to leak from an ONGC crude oil well in Assam for the 8th straight day. ONGC has said that it is bringing in international experts to contain the leak. Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma has written to the centre flagging the oil and gas major response, calling it inadequate. More than 1,500 people from villages around the rig have been evacuated to safety. Coming up on India Business Hour, we take you inside the headquarters of venture capital firm Lightspeed at Silicon Valley to explore their AI bet. We also speak with the co-founder of $20 billion cloud software provider Nutanix. That in just a bit. And you can catch all CNBC TV18's news and updates on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X and Jio Hotstar. Air India CEO Campbell Wilson has claimed that the Air India 171 flight crash that killed 241 people on board and 34 people on the ground. In a statement, Wilson added that the aircraft that crashed was well maintained and its last major check was in June 2023 and was next due for a check in December 2025. He added that the right engine of the aircraft was overhauled in March 2025 and the left engine was inspected in April 2025. Madiha Mujawar joins us now with the latest on the probe. Madiha, over to you.
Well, the government has given its first detailed update on the crash investigation. The Civil Aviation Ministry responded to reports that claimed that the black box is being sent to the US for decoding. The ministry stated that the AAIB will decide where to decode the flight recorders after assessing all technical safety and security factors. Sharing details on the status of the investigation, the ministry said that the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau commenced a formal inquiry into the crash on the 12th of June. It added that a team from the US National Transportation Safety Board, which is NTSB, and the teams from Boeing and GE Aerospace have arrived to assist AAIB as per protocols by the International Civil Aviation Organization. Now, ICAO rules say when a plane crashes, the country where the crash happened, in this case India, leads the investigation, but countries where the aircraft was designed or built, like the US for Boeing and GE engines, have the right to join in. That's why teams from the US NTSB, Boeing and GE Aerospace are in India assisting the AAIB. Their role is to provide technical expertise, help analyze the crash and ensure a thorough, internationally credible investigation. Now, on the recovery of black boxes, the ministry said that the 2 black boxes of the 787 plane have been recovered. The black box contains the digital flight data recorder DFDR and cockpit voice recorder, which is CVR. Now, 1 unit was recovered from the crash site on 13th June 2025, while another set of DFDR and CVR was found on the 16th of June. The ministry added that the key recovery work, including site documentation and evidence collection, has been completed and further analysis of the evidence is now underway.
All right. Thank you very much, Madiha Mujawar, for joining us with that important update. And speaking of Air India, the airline has announced that it will cut its international wide-body flights by 15% for the next few weeks. The reduction will be implemented from today and will continue until mid-July. A majority stake in legendary basketball franchise Los Angeles Lakers is being sold by the Bush family in a historic deal. The transaction could be worth an estimated $10 billion, making it the most expensive sale in sports history. SpaceX Starship 36 exploded during a routine static fire test at the company's facility in Texas. The incident occurred during routine testing in preparation for a launch flight, caused significant damage to the prototype and potentially to surrounding infrastructure. SpaceX has described it as a major anomaly during preparations and added that no one was injured. US President Donald Trump has deployed more troops to Los Angeles. The Pentagon announced that the additional 2,000 members of the California Army National Guard will be sent to LA under federal command. The deployment was ordered despite the fact that demonstrations against immigration raids across the city have largely died down. LA Mayor Karen Bass has also lifted nighttime curfew. Venture capital firm Lightspeed India has invested nearly $2 billion in India and Southeast Asia, with the firm betting in over 20 companies in 2024 alone. In a conversation with Shireen Bhan, Lightspeed partner Dev Khare explained why India's AI startup scene has been lagging behind global peers and what could spark the country's AI breakout moment. Further, cloud computing company Nutanix co-founder Ajit Singh elaborated on what makes this AI wave different.
Let's talk a little bit about AI in India, Dev, and how you see that playing out. I mean, from a consumption point of view, a large part of ChatGPT's success is on account of Indian users. Forget monetizing it, that's an entirely different story. But how do you see the India equation with AI?
Yeah, I think the start has been slow when it comes to really market-leading AI venture creation in India. I think there's been a sort of lag effect to what's going on here. Historically, the software industry, the software startup industry in India was sort of a fast follower industry. They'd go after mature markets here and launch into those markets and build something that was better, faster, cheaper. I think in this age where sort of AI native startups are growing very, very fast and exploring new sort of domains, I don't think the fast follower strategy works. And so I think the India startup ecosystem is trying to find its feet in this rapidly changing environment. So I think that's a risk, but there's also opportunity. There's a lot of the manual work in the world, business manual processes has gone to India and Southeast Asia, the Philippines, and so on, contact centers and revenue cycle management and all sorts of other things in all these different financial services, healthcare, et cetera. I think there's about a $350 billion BPO industry. There's a multi-$100 billion IT services industry. And those are all manual processes. That is what AI is going after, in a sense. And so there's opportunity there. Theoretically, all those folks in India have knowledge of these processes, have access to customers in all these industries in the US and elsewhere. They should be able to create some of these AI native services.
As far as AI as a new wave is concerned, I think what is different is everything in the stack is changing almost concurrently. And by stack, what I mean is all the way from hardware to the end user. So you got hardware, then you got these large language models, then you've got, think of them as a compute model, and then you have platforms that allow you to build applications on top of these LLMs, and then you have the applications themselves. So everything is changing.
With that, it's a wrap on this edition of India Business Hour. Thank you for watching. News continues right here on CNBC TV 18.